Nuremberg surprised me. Beyond the courtroom that changed history, there's a city of medieval towers, riverside walks, and quiet moments that stay with you. In this episode, we'll explore it all, past and present.
Welcome to Nuremberg, Germany. It's probably best known as the place where the military tribunals were held that tried Nazi war criminals after World War II. But in my opinion, one of the more picturesque places I've ever been to. A lot to unpack here, so let's get started.
One of the more striking elements in Nuremberg are the medieval walls. They date back to the 12th century, and they often have these towers. You see this one behind me. It is huge, and there's 80 of them still around. Sadly, you can't walk on the walls anymore. You used to be able to. But in the summertime, there is a stretch near some gardens that you can, but in the winter, everything's closed.
Because Nuremberg was the home of the Nazi Party conventions, and it was a transportation and manufacturing hub during World War II, the Allies really targeted the city, destroying 90% of it. Since then, as you can see, it's been restored pretty much to its former glory. And now look at it. Wow, it's small, but it's really intimate. And remember, this is all reconstructed since World War II, except for the walls up there by the altar and this facade.
Another great thing about Nuremberg is if you had to find another thing that you love about it, is this river. It's called the Pegnitz River. It's kind of like a canal, too. It used to be used for transporting goods, providing water, and powering mills. And you can walk along it, and there's different bridges that really give you different vantage points of Nuremberg. In the main square is this beautiful Gothic church called Church of Our Lady. At noon each day, there is a performance, for the lack of a better term, figurines. They're up by the clock face. And it is basically a reenactment of one of the most important events during the Holy Roman Empire. It's called the Golden Bull of 1356. That was a decree that outlined the election of the king by electors and keeping the process free from interference from the Catholic Church. In the market square, you can't miss the beautiful fountain. Actually, that is the name, beautiful fountain, and how appropriate. It dates back to 1385, stands about 60 feet tall, and it has 40 figures on it. The apostles, and Moses, some church fathers, people from philosophy, liberal arts. While here, there is a custom called the Nuremberg Ring, and you're supposed to reach it and spin it 3 times for some good luck. And we can all use that, right? So, let's see if I can find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Not good for short people. Oh, it's not too bad. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Another one for good measure. Maybe in response to Nuremberg's role in World War II, there's this way of human rights. A little walkway here talks about what everybody's rights should be. These columns actually say what those rights are in different languages. And it leads up to the National History Museum. And there's a real treat in there that I've got to go check out. What we're about to see is one of those really thought-provoking items, artifacts. It is the oldest existing globe in the world. It was made in 1492 by a guy from Nuremberg. Remember 1492, that's when Columbus came over to America? What a globe like this makes you realize is that no matter how much we think we know, we really don't. Because when they made this globe, they thought they knew everything. The world as they knew it was 25% smaller than it actually is. It's a real lesson. There is something called the Nuremberg Madonna. It was made in 1510. It's kind of apparently gotten cult-like veneration from the 19th century on. One of the must-dos here in Nuremberg is the castle. It's not a castle in your traditional sense, in the sense it's not all that lavish. It's a pretty humble castle by castle standards, and that's probably because nobody actually lived here. No royalty lived here. It was basically a hotel for the imperial visitors between 1050 and 1571.
The castle played an important role not just as a temporary home for imperial visitors, but also in the fortification, the defense of Nuremberg. It sits overlooking the center of the city. Let's go take a look at the castle. We're going to do the tower tour and the well tour and skip the castle. This is 113 steps. All right. Get close to the top. Wow. Definitely recommend doing the tower. You see a lot of the before and after shots, what Nuremberg looked like before and after the war. And now it's looking pretty close to the way it was before the war after all the reconstruction efforts.
We check out the well that dates back to the 14th century. This is how the guide proves to us how deep the well is.
Whoa!
About 165 feet.
One of the must-dos here in Nuremberg is the Trials Museum. It's a big reminder of the place that Nuremberg had during and after the war. The museum exhibits include a recreation of the trials, puts it in perspective. All in all, the museum exhibits shows the importance of the Nuremberg trials, but also the importance of them afterwards, even decades later.
The wrongs which we seek to condemn and punish have been so calculated, so malignant and so devastating that civilization cannot tolerate their being ignored.
History is filled with tragic chapters of hatred and persecution that have led to mass violence against persecuted minorities.
All told, 13 military tribunals were held by the Allied forces from 1945 to 1949 to prosecute prominent Nazi leaders for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes against peace during World War II. It showed the world irrefutable evidence of the atrocities during the war. Most of the 177 defendants were found guilty, 24 being sentenced to death, but only 11 of those sentences were carried out. The trials established the principle of individual responsibility for war crimes and created the Nuremberg Principles, influencing modern international law.
Hope you enjoyed this visit to Nuremberg, Germany, and now have a better sense of its history. Thanks for joining me on Mary Goes Round the World. Here's my tip of the week for you. It's about the Nuremberg Pass. Pass is common across cities, and it's basically getting one price for a bunch of attractions. It's worth it if you're in a place long enough to see those attractions. And in our case, not so much. And the three major things I would suggest seeing if you're limited on time here in Nuremberg: the river, that's free. The castle, that's free if you're just checking out the surroundings, and it's well worth just that. You only pay when you go inside. And third is the Trials Museum. My suggestion, unless you're here for a little bit of time, pass on the pass.